Welcome back. Now, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC, has approved an increase in electricity rates for customers in the Band A category. Now, the increase will have customers paying 225 naira instead of the current 66 naira per kilowatt per hour for Band A electricity consumers in the country. Well, however, the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, Serap, has condemned the tariff increase, saying it came despite the hard economic realities in the country. The group intends to take legal action against the Tinubu administration regarding the recent increase in electricity tariff, as they call for a reversal of this decision. Now, Serap is one group that is lending its voice to this. A lot of other Nigerians are, crying about this, crying over this, I beg your pardon. Yesterday, on listening to, did a radio program yesterday where most of those that called in were like, no, this is not the way to go. That's what Nigerians are saying. Oh, well, let's get to meet our guest. We'll be talking about this together. We have with us Sheson Okwade, who is a chartered accountant, a chartered tax professional, and a chartered transport administrator. Good to have you join us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, seated right next to him is Dr. Ganiu Oluwashola, FCTI, Managing Partner, KJB Professional Services. Good to have you join us as well. And virtually we have Jide Ojo, who is a development consultant, author and columnist. Well, I do understand that he will join in the course of time. All right, so let me, just before, I even lost track of the fact that this is what we're talking about when the gentleman stepped into the studio. That was the first thing on my mind. What is going on? Isn't this testing the waters, flying the kite, seeing what Nigerians will do, seeing the actions that Nigerians will take, and possibly, in time, this tariff might trickle down to even Band E. Anyway, let me start with you, Dr. Ganiu.
Thank you, and let me say Happy New Month once again.
Happy New Month to you as well.
But for me, it's not a decision at the best time at this time. Because when you look at, we should be sensitive to the economy situation in the country. We're still talking about the subsidy removal on the fuel. And now on the road, we have the queues at the filling station. Why will I be buying fuel over 600,000? I'm still queuing. It doesn't make sense, right? And people is just like suffering and smiling. It doesn't. So you now see people now on the road. So they struggle to get a fuel, right? And they now, and you now come again to add salt to injury. You now say that you are increasing. You could see it's over 300%.
Oh yes, 340 actually.
Yes. 66 naira kilowatt per hour to 225. It's huge and it's much, right? Because the question is also, you need to look at it. Most of them that are salary earner, where the salary increase at that rate, right? So which means that once such is increasing, it's going to snowball or affect other kind of their purchasing powers. Is either they might be forced to change the school of the children or forced to reduce the number of meals they take per day. And if they're typical employers of labor, they might be forced to downsize their staff because they want to meet up with the current economic situation in the country. So in looking at it vis-a-vis, we must always look at the economic side of it, right? And we also look at the purchasing power of people, because if this thing is affecting, definitely it's going to affect our GDP, because the purchasing power of people will reduce. It's going to affect the saving culture of people, because most of the things they've dropped down, that draw line for saving, it will now be channeled to electricity. So the question, that no country, no businessman, no economy can survive without electricity. Then you cannot see people saying that, oh, this is what I'm going to do. I don't know. You get to some estate, None of them is using electricity. It's also now solar panel. If you see, you just get to their roof, you see 12 panel, 24 panel, as if, and you have a lot of battery inside. But the question is that should we move? Do everybody have the capacity? Because it's an investment on its own to go along towards that route, to go for solar panel and all these things. But the question is that our government should say, when we talk about democracy, democracy is government of the people, for the people, and by the people. So the question is that, is the body language showing that we are for the people? Because if we are for the people, we must be able to feel their pain and saying that, oh, what should we do to be able to cushion the effect of what is happening? Not just coming over. Yeah, you said the band A. The band A's are big boys, right? But not all those people in that clan. You look at the people in that environment. Yes, the band A are people like Sheso. You understand? You see, they can just pay for 1 year rent without doing anything. But the question is that some people are in that environment for economic purpose, right? For networking, for networking, to be able to position themselves to get good business. Then the question is that they might be forced to withdraw from that environment because their capacity might not be able to meet up, right? And even the lights you are talking about, do they enjoy it for 20 hours?
Do they really get it for 20 hours?
Do they really get it for 20 hours?
That was the question. That was the conversation I was having.
So the light is not available. You are now increasing it. Then where is fairness, equity, and justice in line with what we do in the country? Right. And people in government, you have your flight is subsidized. The house you live, you pay nothing, right? You are living without spending any of your money. So you must be able to feel the pain of the people that are using their personal money to provide this kind of social amenities, which is part of the fiscal responsibility of the government.
All right. Interesting.
Now, Mr. Sheson, when Mr. Danny was talking, he made mention of the big boys, and then you were smiling and all that. But let's bring it back again. My question now is this: economists have said that it will worsen, this price hike or tariff hike now in electricity will worsen the cost of living. It's going to even increase the inflation. And manufacturers also have come out to say that with this, a lot of people who are manufacturing things in our country, Nigeria, might back up. And now, where does that leave Nigeria? Because
haven't they packed up already?
Some of them actually are managing, but now with this hike, they were like, no, we have to, some of them are going to.
Fina, let me save you some stress. I appreciate the response of my brother this morning. I want to sound unpopular.
Okay.
By saying that the decision of the government might seem very hard on the people, but truth be told that those in the power sector too are businessmen like you and I. I play in that sector, and I know certain things that are really not interesting for the sector. I'm sure we are all aware that till now, we've always been hearing about subsidy being paid by government in electricity.
Oh yes, I was even going to ask that.
Yeah, and truth be told, we all have friends abroad. If you ask people what they actually pay for utility, whether it's 2 hours, whether it's 5 hours, the fact remains that kilowatt per hour is what they charge. And I know everybody understands that it doesn't come cheap. We've said that times with that number. But if I go to the other side of what my brother has reacted to in terms of the economic hardship that we are faced with, I would say possibly it's not the best time, but you ask yourself, when is the best time? And I think government at this point is fair. Why will I say this? We are starting with those that we know one way or the other should be able to afford the increment. And he made mention of something that a lot of them has actually moved off the grid to their renewable energies, which they consider cheaper. And what we're trying to do with that, with what government is doing, fine. If those things are not available, then we can concentrate on Moses area that we've promised more light that we are not given. Take off these people and give to you people. That's like balancing the act. You see, Shola is into taxation. And before now, we always look for a way to take more from those that are actually doing more. If you stay in an area, they don't just call an area to say you are bad A if you are not. As a matter of fact, under some disco, you are premium customers. And when they call you premium customer, there are extra services that you get, in the sense that you get messages in fact, they live like people abroad. I'm sure
is that even right? Is that even right that government itself is dividing the class? When everybody goes to the same market, but government is now placing class. Now, wouldn't people go the extra mile to get more money to retain that class that government has placed them in?
You see, the situation dictates what happens. Government creating the class, it's not government creating it. We created it and the government is latching on it. Like he said, several set of people comes together and say, no, I cannot stay in the midst of several. Let's Shola come in, let's go get this property. Even when the property is supposed to be 1 million, they decide on their own and say, no, let's hype it and make it 10 million. So that we have very few people that will come into this class. And what government will do, okay, you've actually created the room yourself. How can I lash on this to actually benefit from class you've created for yourself? Is it government that created Banana Island, Moses? Is it government we created it ourselves? Because some people felt that this is what is meant for the big boy.
Who is creating Eco Atlantic?
Eco Atlantic, well, okay, government saw that opportunity for people to plug in. But are you aware that if government creates such and people are not patronizing it, do you see them opening up those areas?
Of course, people will patronize it because they feel they'll have better
it's just
security.
like an average businessman. You look at opportunity and you tap into it. So government is lashing on what we are creating ourselves. You see, I keep telling individuals that, do you know that some of the cries of the citizen are not getting to the government? And that's why you see them crying and so many actions. And it is from us, because the people that are supposed to make the noise to cry, as soon as they are able to get that Moses is the one in the midst of 500 people in this locality that is actually, challenging the status quo. What is the price for Moses?
Let me paint a picture for you now. Let's look at the Lekki axis. All right, that axis has been touted to be for the affluent. All right, and we've seen a lot of people say, okay, they want to associate with, like Shola did say, some people go to an area for networking.
Yeah.
Now, they put a strain on themselves because they want to, relate with a certain class of people. Now, we've seen a situation in recent times where people move to the Lekki area, all right, acquire properties by hook or by crook.
Yeah.
We see a lot of them. Some of them are being apprehended for being involved in internet fraud. Some, during the COVID lockdown, there was an uprising of ritual killings in that area. Isn't that as a means of wanting to maintain a certain class, regardless of your actual earning power? Wouldn't this class divide that is being created now increase the hardship in the land, and also increase the desire to want to steal, to want to get money by hook or by crook?
Moses, you are very correct. But I will always say this, that we the citizen on our own should look for a way to curb some of those menaces. Not always the time on the part of the government.
We should look for a way to curb it.
Yeah, I will say this. The Lekki area that you're actually talking about, Lekki used to be under Ekpe. I'm sure you are aware.
Yes.
Even go beyond Lekki now. There are several estates springing up in that area that they are quoting for the big boys. Ekpe used to be a local area that I knew a particular period I was approached to come and buy a plot of land in Ekpe for 60,000 naira. 60,000 naira. The same area where you get to now, and they are telling you that a plot of land is as high as 60 million.
That should be in the early 2000s.
So you ask yourself, why this sudden spark? People create those kind of things, and we always put pressure on ourselves. I will always tell someone, what Shola said is right. You go to some area for networking and possibly security guarantee. What gives us the impression that we can't create that network within our locality in Surulere? What gives us that we can't start that networking if you and I? But do you know the major problem? As soon as Moses, David, Sheson, who are average, middle class set of people, get to an area, we create a need for ourselves and we start on our own. Saying that the elites, the bigger boys are oppressing us, we start oppressing those that are downtrodden. It's a phenomenon that is synonymous with us in Africa. And that orientation must change. I keep telling individuals, you will start saying some estate that the disco has placed on premium. Writing formally, can you take us off band A? Because we may not be, because some of these people are retirees. They are part of the people that actually earn so much then, but as we speak, cannot afford that lifestyle any longer. But they still live in court on past glory. And we all approach them and feel that that is the place to be. I keep telling individuals, we can create a need for ourselves. Do you know there are several areas people are staying, they are on band B, band C, and they are enjoying the basic amenities that is expected. So we must try to develop those areas ourselves rather than saying that let's come raise the bar and government lash on it and we start complaining.
All right then, let's get the thoughts of Jide Ojo, who is a development consultant, an author, and a columnist. We hear that he's joined the conversation. Good morning to you, Jide. Welcome to the conversation. Now we're talking about tariff increase in certain categories of electricity users. Some Nigerians have said this will trickle down eventually. Government is saying they're still paying subsidy on those on band B, C, D, and E. What are your thoughts, really?
Well, thank you for the invite and Ramadan Karim to our Muslim brothers. And I don't know whether Happy Easter is still due for those of us who are Christians. I've listened with rapt attention to my brothers in the studio about, the point is, we, sociologically speaking, we live in a stratified society. I think it's a welcome development for the Band-Aid to pay more because of affordability and because it's also good for them to maintain their status, or let me say to maintain their ego. I wish them well. For those who want to migrate to Band-Aid area, they now know cost implication. In my neck of wood where I live in Abuja, to even collect 3,000 security fee every month is a great task. People are going to be asking for retirement of last month's payment and all of those things. But if you are living in an area where you enjoy Band-Aid electricity, you sure knows that even you hire private security guards for your estate, you also have one or two in your homes. So what you even spend on security alone will be quite atrocious to some of us in lower class. And that's how every society is stratified. So it doesn't come to me as a surprise. Incidentally, this issue of electricity was what I latched on and commented on in my column in the Punch last Wednesday. I mean, not yesterday. About pricing, I was looking more at the politics of electricity, the politics and the economy of electricity. What has happened yesterday today now is more to the benefit of the distribution companies that we call discos. I want you to read, and all the co-panelists, they should read the article I'm referencing. It's online. And I'm charging, the title is Tinubu, Nigerians need stable electricity. I don't mind paying more if the electricity is stable. Because if you look at the alternative, what are the alternatives? Is it your I better pass my neighbor or private generator? Whether it's small, medium, or big generators, definitely when you compare the price, the inconvenience, the noise pollution, the emission, the pollution, you find out that it's still better to pay double what we are paying now and enjoy stable electricity than to continue to live under the illusion that price will remain stable. The issue is, according to the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, he said government is paying average of 65 naira on kilowatt of electricity for every consumer. Are we seeing the reflection of that subsidy in our consumption pattern? Number two, please, I'm very conscious of speaking in the public space now. I see a trend. Last week Tuesday's front page of The Guardian, as I was trying to pen my article, I saw a screaming headline on the front page of The Guardian that 117 transmission towers have been vandalized between January 2023 and March 2024. And each of these transmission towers takes 110 million naira to replace. And if in about 14 months you have 117 transmission towers vandalized, what is the motive behind the vandalism? And you are now replacing each of those transmission towers with 110 million. That means that there is sabotage within the system. I recall that when Alhaji Lai Mohammed was Minister of Information and Culture, he said NNPC was spending 20 billion annually to replace vandalized pipelines. And I said these are just honeypot for some contractors who possibly will want this menace to continue so that they can continue to be in business. Because I don't see the rationale behind any sane human being to go and vandalize, burn down transmission towers if it's not economic sabotage. Nobody has been apprehended for this crime against humanity. And then you look at also the fact that, according to my research, there are even times that the generation companies, which we call GenCos, and the transmission companies will transmit electricity, and the distribution companies will refuse to distribute. The example was cited by the Punch newspaper of between February 1 and 14, 2024, that some discos just refused to pick over 1,000 kilowatts of electricity.
Why so? Why so? Upholding it?
Exactly. Why so? It's a question begging for answer. The minister threatened fire and brimstone, but we never saw the rationale behind why electricity will be generated, will be transmitted, but will not be distributed. And these are findings I want your medium or to investigate. Why would there be generation of electricity? There will be transmission. Yes, we know we have issues with the weak transmission lines, but in this respect, the transmission did take place, but the discos refused to pick this electricity. So all of this is pointing to what? Sabotage. So if you have transmission towers that is being shown on your screen now, if you have people routinely vandalizing them, and Transmission Company of Nigeria continues to spend 110 million to replace each of them, and this has been the trend in recent past. it then shows that some people don't all even want us to break free from this energy conundrum that we have found ourselves. So I'm unmoved by whether I'm on band A or band B. If I enjoy the electricity, I'm willing to pay. Because if you look at the health challenge associated with private generators, the noise pollution, the carbon monoxide that this emission generates in polluting the environment, how many lives have been lost because of the improper placement of the generators, which has made the emissions to come into very close, into rooms and all of that, killing many family members, even in one fell swoop. Then we know that we need stable electricity.
All right, then.
And my finding found out that South Africa alone is producing over 50,000 megawatts of electricity.
All right, I will have to interrupt you at this point. I will have to interrupt you at this point because we're running out of time. We have actually run out of time for this conversation, but I would like to get the thoughts of my studio guest as well. Sheson, are you comfortable with the way electricity is being distributed now with the discos? Shouldn't there be further deregulation so private individuals can go into it and play in the circle as well? We see what just happened in Aba with the Batanaji power and how that has given electricity to a certain part of that state.
Moses, I think very soon we'll invite you into the sector to join us to give more perspective to this. These are part of the things we've been addressing the disco on. There are certain measures. I think the area we need to beam our searchlight on is on the disco. When this was privatized 2013, it was to really bring in more investment and put in so many infrastructure to allow things to happen. And severally, I know my organization, we've written to NEC, we've approached the disco. It's high time you decentralize and franchise out some of the activities that they are doing. And you look for areas and bulk build them. Allow other leg of the business owners to go into submetering in such a way that you can get your money. To address the word of our guest, Mr. Joe, that why are they not collecting it? It's because before now, when they will power to them in the distribution company, you just pay whatever you like to the market operators. But now, business is not like that. When they will power to them, they deduct from source what they will to them, not minding whether they get back those refunds. And because of the ATC losses that the disco are actually experiencing, they struggle. They are unable to meet those obligations. And that's why we said, decentralize it, franchise, and make submetering to be the way out. So if you have 2-3 transformers, I can say, Moses, this belongs to you. Meter all the area. Do you know that we have serious metering gap as we speak?
Yes,
and that on its
Absolutely.
own is the problem that we cannot account for what we are using. Areas where that have been metered, there are series of bypass not known to people because it's too enormous for them to do. So if we give it to Moses to manage that this estate belongs to you, provide the meter and monitor, we will only give one single bill on this transformer. How you pay us back, we don't know. We have practicalized this in several states. I've done it in Kwara State. I've done it in some part of Lagos where they have dedicated transformer and they collect revenue themselves and pay the disco, the box sum. It will assist you because what will not happen is that I have just 50 customers under my network. So Mr. Moses knows that I can monitor. Why is Mr. Moses paying 50,000 this month and FINA is paying 80,000? Is it that he had additional load to his place or you have actually bypassed? I can quickly analyze the data, go into action, and make, because I know I must fulfill my obligation to the disco. So you must decentralize that particular thing, and thank God that it's coming from you. Not that it will look as if we actually had. This is the way to go. Disco needs to improve their distribution network, and you cannot do it all alone. People are out there to look for a way to invest in that sector. provide meters to the customer, liberalize the system. Enough of we waiting to say, NEC, give us the regulation or what the meter should be paid for. Liberalize it, let everybody go their way. The same way we have our phone, we have the China made, we have the European made. Let people go their route to say, this is the quality of meter I want to pay for, and I'm out to pay for it, and we'll enjoy it. Then you decentralize those stress that you have with the disco in collection of the bill that they're actually complaining of.
In one sentence, what do you think is the reason for not decentralizing these discos and sorting out the metering issue that you mentioned earlier? Because, hey, there's been complaints that this metering issue has been a major one.
David, is a simple thing. People are just afraid of losing their job.
Okay.
So you feel if you decentralize it, you do that. But we keep saying that when you are, I've worked with the disco for several years before I pulled out, and I started something that has to associate with that. So create the opportunity for people to do that, and the disco will be better off for it. A lot of ATC are actually happening. That is technical and commercial losses on the part of the disco to fulfill their obligation. So they want to take a little that they know they can account for. And with this issue of segregation that we say now, you see more supply being diverted to the people that they know. Because a lot of people on band A, I tell you, lack this metering gap. They've actually metered them. Those that are
but they're actually saying that some don't even have, so they'll provide the meters.
They will definitely do that now because they want to get that. And that's what we say. When you get those tractors, then you can go to band C. I can come to that area and say, let's manage this, take off the burden from you. Then you know that you're only dealing with one person who cannot fulfill that.
Let's get Shoshola's view as well in about 10 minutes before we wrap this up.
My view, there was a time I was part of the special presidential investigation panel in this kind of saga, right? Because Disco supposed to remit some kind of the revenue to Genco, right? And with Genco and also the TCN. So there's a lot of gaps in those areas. This thing has already, what you said, it has been privatized. It moves from PACN to Disco. It's actually privatized. Yeah. We also, as we have IPP, independent power, that supply people like Magodo, like Coca-Cola area. They are the one that offer them 24 and ensure that they got their premium. It's actually privatized. But the question is that, are we putting the right peg in the round hole? Just like what happened in the telecommunication industry. Those people that came into the electricity space, they are businessmen, they are not technical experts, right? They don't have, it's just, you see that when we look at the vis-a-vis of what happened in the telecommunication industry, it's one of the industries that is giving the country more revenue because we have people that have interest in that field and they are ready to do well. But yet now, they are ready to milk people. And here we have the NERC, who are the regulator. But what are they regulating? When there are nothing. But if these people could do what they should do, meter, people pay for meter, they didn't get it. A zombie, you see in the public space the other time that people were wrongly charged bills they never incur. But the question is that, did they refund? No. Were they taken to court? No. We just throw caution into the wind because we paid for something we never used, right? I think this thing is just like, let the people there, if you need to unbundle it, people that have the technical expert, they have the interest of the, in those days, that's what we call pioneer legislation. When somebody is coming to that space, you must ensure that it's for the development of the people and for the economy at large to benefit.
All right, then. Thank you very much. We'll have to wrap this up right now. We'll take a break now. When we come back, the Igbo Community Assembly, they've called on President Tinubu to intervene in the demolition issue involving Nyesom Wike of the FCT. Let's talk about this one when we come back.